Great.
I'm gonna get started now at the Little Liz conference goer. I love it. I have like so many friends with babies, and they're literally on panels and they're breastfeeding. I'm like, you're amazing. You just have to do it, right? So I'm Audrey Wu, co-founder and CEO of Converge. Converge is a voice and messaging platform. We work with brands like the Grammys, Estee Lauder companies, Sephora, and Asia Gala Wines. So actually, just this last week, we announced that we are now part of Haptik. So that was a big move for us. So now I'm no longer CEO, but I'm a VP of partnerships at a really large company that is the largest conversational AI platform. It was founded in 2013. There's 100 plus people. So for me, from being a startup founder, doing 5 to 10 jobs to actually having people do things for me is kind of a interesting thing, because I'm like, I have free time now and I don't know what to do. They just closed a $100 million round, so we're aggressively expanding into the US, and I'm like hire number 2. These are some of the brands that Haptik's worked with in the past, a lot of blue chip brands. So today I'm going to talk about voice, the promise of voice. And I'm going to talk about these 2 devices, and also like pros and cons. I'm not going to endorse one over the other. I'm just going to showcase like the features, and then I'm going to go into some use cases so you can see how this has evolutioned. It has evolution. It's evolved in the past. I just made up a word. In the past 3 years, from like 2015 to present. So basically, CES was huge for voice assistants this year. Everybody was only talking about that. I mean, Google and Amazon spent eons of dollars just to like outbig each other in terms of the massive displays they had. And I mean, it's everybody. That's all they talked about. Speaking refrigerators, IoT of everything. And Super Bowl ads, did you guys catch these ads? You all know how much Super Bowl ads cost, right? And then to have these 2 guys, like, that's expensive. So it's just showing you they're playing in a big way. They're spending money. And then the promise of Google Duplex. Do you guys know what Google Duplex is? So last year at the Google conference, their CEO promised that there was a new thing called Google Duplex would just make appointments for you. You would just ask it to make an appointment, and a robot would call and make the appointment for you, and it would sound like a human. It doesn't work. It does not work. No, literally, like that news. It's literally human powered. Like it just doesn't work. And this is things you just gotta do. I mean, this is like promised like over a year ago, and it still doesn't work. So that's why I'm saying this is where we are right now. I don't know if y'all remember like GeoCities with the blinking counter, and then MySpace. Like, who's even on that anymore, right? Yeah, this is where we are. This is, I know, look at him. Where is he now? Yeah, so this is pretty much where we are. We're getting better, but right now we still got some blinking lights, and you can like put music and backgrounds and mess up your whole page. So now I'm going to talk about Alexa and Google Hub for brands, and I'm talking from a brand perspective because I work with brands and that's what I know. So the first one, I'm going to start talking about Alexa. Why Alexa? Well, there's really early market penetration. So they came out first. There's 100 million units that have been sold. In-scale purchasing is available for premium content. So let's say you have a trivia game. It's just like a Candy Crush app, right? You can level up and buy more things. So it allows developers to make some money. So, it's kind of a cool thing. Voice shopping in Alexa is estimated to generate $5 billion in revenue. However, that really only matters to Amazon because that's the only thing you can buy through Alexa, right? And that's why they're spending so much money. Replenishment shopping is most popular, followed by food ordering, and that's pretty easy to understand because if I want paper towels, it already knows my previous order. So I'm totally cool ordering more paper towels through the device. I don't need to see it. I don't need to read reviews. I already know. In food ordering, I think Domino's has an app and Starbucks does, and that, again, you already know what you want. So it's pretty easy. And 3,500 brands are on Alexa, and apparently 80,000 Alexa skills are on Alexa. And a lot of that is just developers playing around and trying to figure out, how this works and what the point. But if you're a consumer brand that wants to sell physical goods, deep linking is not supported. And what that means is that if I am doing like a dog skill, right? I'm talking about dogs, and all of a sudden I have like a dog food I want to sell. I can't do it through the skill. You have to exit the skill and order it on Amazon. So that's kind of a friction, right? So that's why brands like Target, Costco, Ulta, and Walmart have signed deals with Google because it would be like having a Target inside of a Costco. Like, that's just weird, right? It doesn't work. And that's why they've signed deals with Google, because Google's kind of viewed as a neutral party. So why Google Hub? It's catching up, 52 million devices sold. One thing that a lot of people don't realize is that it integrates with Google Assistant app. So basically, it's the same agent. Through your phone, through this, it is the exact same agent. And that's on 1 billion devices. So there you have it already. It's like kind of inching out Alexa in terms of how the penetration is. And it comes pre-installed, obviously, in Pixel devices because it's owned by Google. And because it has this app that's actually pretty powerful, there's more features for brands. Something called surface switching or multimodality, which means that the experience can go from here to your phone and back. And I'll show some examples of that. And with that, you're able to set re-engagement pushes to people as well because you have connection to the Assistant app. And Google Payments is something that if your company's already integrated with it, you can sell things really easily. So since we're at a conference called Data Driven, let's talk about the data. So where does it go? Well, as you know with Facebook, they get to keep most of it. You don't get a whole lot, right? We have access to things like user ID, which is pretty meaningless, to be honest. The journeys and transcripts, so we have all the transcripts, and I've read a lot of them, and humans can be very terrible people. Some of it's really quite surprising. The length of conversation is another KPI that we look at, and obviously the number of users. So we don't have like a lot of data points right now. We just have the number of users, how long, and how many turns within the conversation. So turns means like how many back and forths. We know where people drop off because we tag those events in our analytics platform, so we know exactly how far in the journey someone's gone. But there's some workarounds in terms of getting personal data from Google. You can do things like explicitly ask the user, can I access your location? And if the user says yes, then because it's on the Assistant app, you know where they are. And you can also say, can I have your email if you want to sign up for an email list? And that's also explicitly asked. And because it's connected again to your Gmail account, you get the email address. So I'm going to talk about some use cases and evolution. So as I promised, we're going to go into Johnny Walker. One of the first branded skills on Alexa. Came out in 2015. VaynerMedia did this. So take a listen. Alexa, open Johnny Walker.
What do you want to do today? Choose a label. Buy a bottle. Whiskey 101. Or try a guided tasting.
Buy a bottle.
A person who knows what whiskey they want. I like that. Is this the right zip code 10010?
Yes.
Is this the right zip code 10010?
Yes.
Oh, that was taking too long.
Okay.
Try again later. Do you want to try a guided tasting or brush up on your Whiskey 101?
Whiskey 101.
I'm talking about whiskey. Are you sure we're on the same page? Do you want to try a guided tasting?
Alexa, stop. Okay, so this is one of the first ones.
Check back soon. I'm ready to talk whiskey whenever you are.
It's keep walking. It's kind of cute. It has a guided tasting. You couldn't get a personalized label. There's a buy a bottle. Clearly, it wasn't quite working, but live demos, right? Then I'm going to go through something that actually we just did at Converge, which was with EJ Gallo, called Rosé Your Way. Very similar concept, but 3 years later, this is what we came up with. Hey Google, talk to Rosé Your Way.
Sure, here's Rosé Your Way.
First things first, though. Are you at least 21 years of age?
Yep.
So again, my mission in life is to help you find the perfect rosé. Actually, what even is life? I'm a robot. So, now that that's out of the way, would you like me to help you find your perfect rosé?
Yes. Yes.
Are we going for relaxing vibes or celebration vibes?
Relaxing.
Tattoos, love them or hate them? You can only pick one.
Love them.
Tattoos, love them or hate them? You can only pick one.
Hate them.
What's your perfect Sunday activity? Brunch at a fancy restaurant, shopping at the local farmer's market, or a day at the spa.
A day at the spa.
You have exceptional taste, which is why Fleur de Mer is the rosé for you. It's made in Provence, which honestly says it all. This is the rosé to rule all rosés. Care to hear more on why that is?
Hey Google, stop. So,
Okay, I'll stop now. See you later.
in the matter of 3 years, we went from the Johnny Walker thing to this. And one of the things we did with the brand was that we actually had a one-day workshop where we went through and talked about what the brand voice was, what the brand personality was, how we were going to create this. And we came out with Jennifer Lawrence, which is a voice actor we hired to kind of sound like her with the kind of, snarkiness that she has. So that was really involved in part of the script. And we did some surface switching there, which is, your rosé recommendation. She'll at some point ask me if she could send it to me on my phone, and she does. It comes out as a little ping onto my phone, and then when I hit on it, it takes me to the Assistant app where I can actually find more information about it. And there's also a where to buy function, which is similar to the Johnny Walker function. But here we go. We're seeing the evolution from like a GeoCities website to something that's actually, a little less blinky. We're still a long way to go, but this is. And now I don't know if you guys know the SpongeBob challenge. It's actually one of the most used kid skills. And I wanted to kind of show you how this one works because it's pretty crazy and zany. And my friend over at Xandra actually built it, and they thought it doesn't work here because it's gated. So like a parent has to go and approve the usage of it. And because this is Paul's account, I'll just do it on my phone. Alexa, open SpongeBob challenge. I know, it's totally bonkers, right?
Welcome back to Nickelodeon's SpongeBob Challenge. Everyone's in town for the Bikini Bottom 500. They like fast boats and fast food. So let's get behind the counter and get to work. Here's how to play.
Okay, so it's fun, right? It's basically like the cartoon, completely on point, completely on brand, using the actual voice actors from the show. You can see why kids dig it. It's hysterical. It's super crazy if you're, a parent and probably over it after listening to it a million times. But it's got educational content, memory games, scavenger hunt, storytelling. You can even play other players. So this again is another example of really taking into consideration. Like it wouldn't be right if it was just Alexa's voice, because it wouldn't really represent this at all. And this is more like a radio show, but that's bi-directional. There's a lot more content. And then I'm going to talk about, finally, the Grammys, which is another project that I worked on, and actually know Paul because the chief digital officer of the Grammys and Paul met in Spain when they were at Seville. So full disclosure is why I'm here. So the Grammys, we did something interesting for them. This was an evolution. This is our third year working with them. The first year we did a skill that had trivia, quote of the day, so an artist quote that was pre-recorded, and then newsflash. And it turns out that the only part of that action anybody wanted to use was trivia. So we looked at the metrics, we doubled down on trivia. This is what we came up for this year. We're working on V3 right now, but this is what we have right now. Hey Google, talk to Grammys.
Sure, let's get Grammys.
Hi, welcome to this week's edition of Grammy Trivia. The theme for this week is 60 years of Bob Dylan. Here's how it works. I'll ask you 5 questions. After each question, I'll provide some options. Then you'll just tell me which one you choose. You can say stop or cancel at any time to exit the game.
This is Google speak that we have to put in,
At any time if you don't
but
understand.
we're trying to
Also
truncate that.
repeat if you'd like me to repeat what I just said. Say yes if you're ready to play.
Yes.
Okay, here you go.
What is Bob Dylan's birth name? Your options are Dylan Roberts, Robert Zimmerman, Dylan McKay.
Dylan McKay.
Not quite. Google, what was the right answer here?
Robert Zimmerman.
Okay, next question.
What was Bob Dylan's first album to include all original material? Your options
Hey Google,
are
stop. So with this, you'll notice that it's actually interspersed between Nate, who actually works at the Grammys, and
Before I go, I'd like to know how satisfied you are with Grammys.
oh my God.
How would you rate it if 1's the worst and 5's the best?
Okay, 5. That's new. So one of the things that we did with this is that we really wanted to be on point with the Grammys. And so the first iteration that we did was obviously all computer voices, and it was just like, it was good, but it wasn't like as good as what we did now. You'll notice that we do intersperse, Google into this conversation because the dynamic content is updated weekly. So it's like pretty hard to get Nate to go and record all these questions. Like there's hundreds of them, right? So we have some canned responses that he's already recorded, and then every week we push out new content. And we have re-engagement push, which is basically letting you know when there's new Grammys trivia. So this has actually proven to be pretty sticky. People like to come back because the questions are different every week. And for the sake of our developer sanity and also Nate over at the Grammys sanity, it makes sense for us to use Google's voice. And you'll even know he talks to Google, right? Hey Google, what's the answer to that? So we kind of point out a little bit of a joke here. And this one's been a lot of fun. I'm not sure what we're going to do for this year, but I think it's we're going to keep pushing the limits. I think it's anything with trivia involved is pretty sticky. So what is next? Well, we've got these things here, right? And this now puts in another layer. So what was originally only auditory is now going to have a visual component. We're still very nascent in this space. I know that, Alexa does a pretty good job when it comes to cooking skills and helping you understand how to do that. Google hasn't quite opened up their platform yet to let developers put things on the screen. Right now, if you have one of these and you go through any of those skills I just showed you, it's just going to roll through the transcript. And then it'll have like little buttons where it says, when it asks you the different answers, you can actually just push it instead of speaking it. But again, who knows what's going to happen, right? Maybe one day this thing will be able to make my hair appointments for me because nobody likes to call the cable company either. So if it could do that, that would be great. So after now, I'm just going to have some Q&A and if anybody has questions, you can also email me here if you don't have a question right now, but might have one later.
I have one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So my question is, we were just looking at the Echo shows, and you may not know, but is the technology available to, I guess, turn what we are talking about as far as like these surveys and different automated things that come from these things to be like video automated? So
yeah, eventually. Yeah, I don't think we're there yet.
That's not happening.
No.
Okay.
What use case are you looking?
So I'm a doula and I do childbirth education, and what my organization does is focus on the in-home component. So we come to you, and I'm thinking if I could provide my families with an Echo Show device in their prenatal period, then I don't have to use my gas money, and maybe it could
just to answer the frequently asked questions?
That, or even just their automated childbirth education could be there, and they could see my face so it doesn't feel so computerized.
Oh yeah, we can't do that quite as of yet.
Okay. It's coming. I'll give you.
Yeah, and you can also do a chatbot too, which is actually a great use case as well.
Chatbot.
It's the same technology, really. I mean, what we do is basically chatbot technology, but we add another layer in called text to speech.
Okay.
So it takes your speech and it translates it into text, feeds it in the computer comes back with text, and the computer says it out. So it's all the same technology. It's just another added component is adding voice to it. Any other questions? Yeah.
I will admit I know just enough to be dangerous
Okay.
about all of this. This is kind of new language for me. We were just talking about security concerns with like Alexa and Google and so forth, and you mentioned data. Google, as far as Google Hub, I guess, is expanding its reach. So, I mean, I know you can't probably make a recommendation, but is there something that you're sort of seeing, like long term, Google is better for this and Alexa is better for that?
I think that, what's Google best at? Search. So I think that is a huge component. I mean, we actually had to white label the Grammy word so that anytime someone says Grammys, it doesn't just go to Grammy.com or read off facts, it goes to the skill. Same with Rose Your Way, which was another, oh my God, what a nightmare, because
Rose is everywhere.
well, that, and you have to spell it, every version phonetically, R-O-Z-A-Y, R-O-S-I-E, like, it doesn't understand. And when we did the Aveda skill, oh, that was another nightmare because the computer couldn't say Aveda right. It kept saying Aveda, and we're like, no. And so we literally had to send sound files to Google to say, you got to replicate this. So it was a lot of like, it's actually spelled in the back end, it's A-V-A-Y, because if we didn't do that, she wouldn't pronounce it correctly. And that's one of the reasons why we also like using voiceover actors, because that kind of eliminates that component.
Right.
Any more questions? Cool, well now you guys all have things you can play around with.